Good afternoon, all. A very warm welcome to all the attendees of this session. It's now time to introduce speaker of the day, Dr. Monica Gulati, Executive Dean, School of Pharmaceutical Sciences and Registrar, Lovely Professional University, with more than 25 years of teaching, industry, research, and administrative experience, having completed her B Pharmacy, M Pharmacy, and PhD from UITS, Punjab University, Chandigarh. Dr. Gulati served for 2 years in the R&D department of Panacea Biotech, shifting later on to the academia. She has served for more than 18 years at Lovely Professional University in various academic and administrative roles. Her research forte is enhancing bioperformance of drug molecules, phytochemicals and probiotics, metabiotics, and other biotherapeutics using conventional and novel dosage forms, especially in the areas of clone targeting. She holds a keen interest in the quality control parameters of delivery systems. She has more than 150 high impact publications and 15 invited book chapters to her credit, with an H index of 28 and RG score of 39.43. She has been granted 4 Indian patents and 3 Australian patents. She is on the editorial and review board of more than 25 journals. I welcome you, madam. We also have with us Ms. Rachna Bajaj, Senior Assistant, Lovely Professional University. Today, Madam is going to talk about eligibility, fee, scholarship, and infrastructure part of the university. Welcome, ma'am. Over to you, Dr. Gulati.
Is my screen visible?
Yes, ma'am. Perfect.
So good afternoon all. I'm very happy to be here and I thank the organizers, for giving me an opportunity to talk about something, the profession of pharmacy, which is a passion for most of the pharmacists, who are either into teaching or into industry or in any other uh, profession involved with pharmacy. So let me share with you what is the agenda for today's interaction with you people. So first we'll talk about, why should pharma be the choice for the young generation to opt for as a career. And what is then second is why now? Why now means why in the post-pandemic scenario, what is so good about the pharma profession? What is so strengthened about the pharma profession after the scenario of a pandemic when most of the professions have gone down, and then somewhere we are again hearing the news that maybe, god forbid, maybe it is coming back, maybe not with the same kind of intensity and so on, but probably it might come back. We have to take all the precautions and so on. So why should pharma profession be selected at this juncture of time? And then what is to be done now? What now? Then how we should proceed if we need to select the pharma profession? And then where to pursue it? How to go about it and where to pursue it? So I'll start with why pharma profession. So pharma profession is the profession of choice at this juncture specifically because the demand for pharmacists, the demand for pharma professionals is always going to be on increase. It is always going to be going to rise, because there is never going to be a downtrend. Why so? The reasons being, the first thing is, you leave apart the pandemic also. Without the pandemic also, the need for medicines and the need for lifestyle support systems like, nutraceuticals and cosmeceuticals and functional foods is always going to increase. The reasons being, we as a generation, particularly, the younger generation, the millennial generation particularly, their lifestyle is, everybody would agree, even the children will agree, that the lifestyle is not very healthy. We are hooked to the social media. Most of our time gets spent sitting on the chairs. We don't walk much, we don't do much physical activity, we don't do much normal kind of outdoor activity. Why I am saying normal kind of outdoor activity? Gymming is not equivalent to the normal day-to-day work, right? So I understand that many of us, we are tempted to do, we sit whole day, then we go and we do exercise, we do gymming for maybe an hour, and we feel very good that, we have compensated for the loss of activity. That was very well demonstrated recently. Some of the people in the sorry, some of the people who were in the showbiz, right? There have been some disasters despite, very regular kind of gymming and very regular kind of exercising, because the body needs movements which is not concentrated. So you see the lifestyle is deteriorating. Then another thing is, when we were younger, when I still remember, especially in our parents generation or their parents generation, there hardly used to be any people who would go for regular testing. Regular testing means health checkups. But with the more awareness being generated, people are becoming more health conscious. As the diseases are rising, we are also, our awareness is also rising. So we are becoming more health conscious, and we know that, here there is a deficiency of iron, or there is a deficiency of vitamin D, or we require protein supplements in this particular condition, and so on. So there is going to be ever increasing consumption of supplements, right? And then, we are somewhere, we are a generation where the older people are more. When we were younger, I still remember the life expectancy was less. In fact, I have the stats also. The average life expectancy in 1980, it is not very old, you see, hardly 42 years back, the average life expectancy was 53. So you can very well imagine that, the number of people above the age of 80 was very less. There were very few people who were 60 plus or 80 plus or so. Then it rose to, in 20 years, it rose to 62. And in 2020, very recent, it has increased to 70. So we have more older people, which is actually a blessing also. So we need, older people, of course, need more support in terms of medical intervention, also in terms of nutrition also. So we have more elderly people now, and obviously, the more elderly people we have in the society, the more is the requirement of medicines. So another thing is that has happened, and none of us has been untouched by that, is the pandemic. So due to COVID-19 pandemic, there was a huge rise in the demand of drugs. Initially it was HCQ, hydroxychloroquine, then remdesivir came, then black fungus came, then requirement for medicines for black fungus started, and so on. So then there was a demand for zinc, there was a demand for vitamin D, and there was a demand for vitamin C. So there was a rapid rise in the demand of drugs. We are talking only about the synthetic drugs. Apart from that, many of the households, they started depending upon the traditional drugs, that means the Ayurvedic drugs, for maintenance of their immunity. So there was a parallel rapid rise in the demand of drugs, both synthetic as well as the conventional Ayurvedic drugs. Then somewhere, what happened? initially the market of medicines, whether it was raw materials or it was formulations, was very strongly dominated by China and India. So the Western world had given a name of Chindia tsunami. Chindia tsunami meaning that China and India pharma industry has kind of stormed into the Western world with their, especially with their generic medicines, raw materials as well as generic medicines. Now what happened during pandemic or before the start of pandemic, many people, many countries in the West, they suspected that it somewhere arose because China was not able to take very good care of it. So somewhere, they blamed China. And when this started, so China somewhere started losing its image. So people stopped, importing from China. So the focus already had shifted to India for the supply of raw materials as well as for the generic drugs. So this is the time, when the pharma profession in India is at its peak. And then when the first wave came and then the second wave came, we were very quick as a country to rise up to the situation, and we were able to synthesize hydroxychloroquine. We were able to roll out a vaccine very quickly, which many of our much more advanced counterparts in terms of countries were not able to do. So Indian vaccine came quite quickly, very early in the race. So we were already able to establish our credibility as a scientific community. So somewhere, the reliability of the entire world has increased on India as far as the profession of pharmacy is concerned. Then why us means why Indians? The reason is, you all know that, the technical skills of Indians, it is known they are very good. So very high technical and production skills are there. Then, as I shared with you, the credibility of brand China. If you remember, very initially when COVID started, somewhere I am talking of late yes, 2019 and early 2020, many testing kits were imported from China, which turned out to be a flop. So somewhere, the entire world lost some faith in the uh, products which are imported from that country. Then already, India has very high number of units which are regulated and which are approved by the US and European government. Both US and European governments, they are very strict as far as the import or sale of medicines is concerned. The sale of medicines which are produced elsewhere, the sale of those medicines which are not produced either in US or in Europe, for them the regulatory norms are very stringent. But in India, already a large number of industries exist which comply to these regulatory norms and are approved by both the governments. So compliance is already there. So it was not very difficult to come up to the situation and start producing, or to start the production of more brands of drugs, also more types of drugs also. Then we all know that Indians are, they do a magic as far as the IT is concerned. They are very good in bioinformatics and data management. And then we are able to produce the drugs, or we are able to produce the medicines at a much lower cost, giving the same kind of quality. Right. So we are known for it. We as Indians are known for producing the same kind of quality at much lower cost. So that is also liked by the world. So many of the production orders are being now outsourced to the Indian market. Another asset which is there for us as Indians is that we are very good in English language. So there are many countries which are our competitors. They are not very well conversant with English. So you see what happens. They at times lose an edge. And Indians, because they are very good at spoken as well as written, especially written English. So that becomes an edge for us. And then you see contract manufacturing is something when there is a company who wants to get something manufactured, and rather than manufacturing itself, it requests some other company to manufacture that. So contract manufacturing is a practice which has been there in India for last more than 50 years, more than 70 years, I would say, rather, and it has been already very well established. So there are no hassles in taking orders from the European or the American market, or for that matter, any international market. All right.
Ma'am, your voice is not audible.
I hope you can hear me.
Yes, ma'am, go on.
Sorry, there was some technical glitch, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. So, what is to be done now? As a country, as a pharma professionals, what should we be doing now? So one thing is, as I shared with you, one of the competitors is gone. So we can, of course, take advantage of that and start selling the brand India. And then what happened initially, if you remember, when COVID happened, most of the countries, big cities like Mumbai and Delhi, they were very badly hit by the COVID. So what we need now to do is, segregate the clusters. So this has been done by the government of India already. We have segregated the production units in smaller towns also, so that if one unit closes down for some time, the other can take over. Then of course, we have also expanded the manufacturing portfolios, in the sense that we are already very, very strongly into the manufacturing of vaccines for COVID. And once we are able to establish the facility for production of vaccines, then whether it is the vaccine for COVID, or it is any other vaccine, whether it is vaccine for flu or it is vaccine for polio, then once the facility is generated, it will cater to any kind of vaccine. Then focus is already shifted on the traditional drugs, and we as a country, we have a very rich heritage of Indian drugs in terms of Ayurveda. So we should now focus on the traditional drugs also, because the entire world is now looking at various ways to boost the immunity. Because the viruses, the bacteria, the fungi, they are going to stay. All we need to do is boost up our own immunity. So as a population, we are now focusing on the traditional Indian drugs also to boost the immunity. And then this is very, very important. We need to invest in the research and development. I actually salute all the scientists who were involved in, the manufacturing of vaccine initially, because per se, as such, our research and development of the pharma industry was not very strong. Let us face it. So it is, a very strong kudos to the Indian scientists who were able to roll out the vaccine in a record time. So we should now, it is a as a country, whether it is the government or it is the organizations or it is the academic institutes or it is the research institutes or it is the industry, we need to invest more in research and development. And of course, like always, we need to act immediately. So if there are any queries from any of the participants at this stage, you are most welcome. You can, I can take up the queries at any time. Then now what to do? So how do you enter into the pharma profession? We need to have the basic degree of bachelor's in pharmacy. B Pharm is the bachelor's in pharmacy. And then, once you are done with your 4 years of bachelor, you can enter into your post graduation. Similarly, not very old, about a decade back, B Pharm Ayurveda has also been started, which is basically a bachelor in pharmacy course, wherein apart from the modern medicines, you are also taught the basic principles, how to, what is the basic theory behind Ayurveda, how to prepare the medicines, how to analyze the medicines, and mind it, it is different from BAMS. There are many children who would ask me whether it is equivalent to BAMS or bachelor's in which you become the Ayurvedic doctor. No, it is not, because an Ayurvedic doctor will not be allowed to manufacture the medicines. So you need to have the pharmacy license to go for the manufacturing. And then we come to the plethora of the opportunities which are available to any of the pharmacy graduates. Once you are done with your bachelor's in pharmacy, there are a number of options. Number of options means it is limitless. So we will talk about various types of options. First, we'll focus on industry. Since we have been talking of industry all the time, so first we'll focus on industry. So in industry, the most conventional kind of career is that in production. Production means, there is a unit, an industrial unit, wherein the drugs are being manufactured. When again we talk of manufacturing, it could be of two types. It could be production of the raw drugs and it could be the production of formulation. Now let me explain this to you. What is the difference between the two? The difference between the raw drugs and the formulation. When we talk of powder paracetamol, right? The drug which is there in 50 mg or 100 mg of aspirin is there in an aspirin tablet. So that 100 mg is basically the raw drug which has been added into the formulation. What is the formulation? Formulation is the tablet. So formulation is basically a via media or a vehicle through which the medicine is entering into your body. So it could be an injection, it could be a tablet, it could be a capsule, it could be a powder. So production is of both types. It could be production of raw material wherein a person is synthesizing aspirin. Second is production of dosage forms or formulations where the person is preparing the tablets or capsules or injections of the same drug, aspirin, right? So production, as I shared with you, is of two types, and somebody who has very good interest in chemistry might like to go for the production of raw material, while the other people may like to go for the production in dosage forms. Then you see, we are dealing with a profession which is very, very sensitive. So if as a production scientist, you are somewhere responsible for production of 1 lakh tablets, you are playing with the lives of 1 lakh people. When a doctor is practicing, he or she makes one mistake, he or she damages one person. But if a pharmacist makes a mistake, he or she damages a large number of people. So the quality becomes very, very important in our profession. So there is, you see, a whole vertical of quality control. Again, a part of industry. So any industry which is into production of any kind of pharma products has to have a very strong quality control department, wherein what happens, you have prepared say tablets, there will be a quality control department which will check whether the tablets are going to get dissolved in the stomach, are they going to release the medicine, in what time are they going to release the medicine. If the production scientist is claiming that there is 100 mg of drug X in it, is there actually 100 mg of X, or is it 80 only, or it is 120? So all that is going to come under quality control. Then we also have a vertical of quality assurance. Now quality control, as I shared with you, is the check which is applied on the finished product. The last step, when the drug has already been manufactured, when the capsules are ready, then they are going to check whether they are going to work well in the body or not. Quality assurance is the entire process. In this, the scientist is going to check whether the raw material that has been purchased is up to the mark, whether the people who are involved in the production, they are following all the precautions, whether they are qualified enough, whether they are trained enough, whether the machine on which we are working, is it standardized, is it giving the same kind of results all the time, is the moisture controlled, is the temperature controlled, is the machine on which weighing is being done, is it okay? So quality assurance scientists are those people who are going to ensure that quality control is there. Sorry. Then we have another vertical of regulatory affairs. Now these people are responsible for taking care that all the conditions of the government instructions are met. See, every country has different kind of regulations for the sale or production or import of any drug. So regulatory affairs department finds out and makes sure that all the regulatory instructions given by a particular government are followed. That means if you are going to sell it or produce it or import it in India, it should follow the instructions or conditions laid out by the Indian government. If we are going to sell it in the US, we should be able to follow the instructions given by the US government and so on. Then comes another very interesting kind of opportunity, which is packaging. Now, it is one of the very, very less explored kind of opportunity, but it is very important because you see, if the packaging is not proper, you will not be able to take care of what is lying inside it. Just imagine, you bring a box of sweets and leave it open, what will happen? There will be a lot of contamination. You will not be able to eat the sweets the next day probably. So packaging for drugs becomes even more important because again, it is going to be a very, very sensitive kind of thing because we are going to put it into the human bodies. Then we have clinical pharmacy. Now, when we talk of clinical pharmacy, whenever a drug is produced, it is animals, then it is tested on human beings. So that all that part comes under clinical pharmacy. Then we have pharmacovigilance. Now look at the name, look at the term itself, pharmacovigilance. So it is made from two words, that is pharmaco and vigilance, as you can see. So it is somewhere, what is the safety of the drugs. So we look at any kind of side effects which might occur in the patients. They are reported, they are taken down, they are put into the data, and then that data is analyzed to find out how that particular side effect or toxic effect arose. Will it affect, did it affect only that patient or more people were involved? Was it because of the fault of that particular scenario, or is there something wrong with the drug or the packaging material or something additive which has been added and so on? So again, a very, very interesting and very upcoming kind of profession. Then research and development. So most of the good industries have their own research and development wing, wherein they conduct the new research as a kind of field. Then we have medical affairs. So these are the people who will decide how to make the people aware about the use of that particular medicine. Say a new antibiotic comes into market. So the medical affairs people, they are going to prepare the strategy how to popularize this antibiotic, how to make the information reach the people that this antibiotic has probably less side effects, or it for resistance, or it is active against more of the bacteria or more of the viruses and so on. So medical affairs is the department which is responsible for making the general public aware about the products. Then sales and marketing, this you all know, how the company or how the industry is and market its products to the doctors directly, to the patients indirectly. And then we have product management as another vertical, which is basically teaching these people, sales and marketing people. They are taught by the people in the product management. What are the assets of the medicines that you are selling? How to convince the doctors about it? How to tell the doctors about the situation going to be better, how to convince the doctors about the situations where it should not be given, and so on. So I hope it is clear to everyone now. Then we come to entrepreneurship. So if someone wants to start one's own business, one's own industry, one's own setup, then we have the similar kind of things. I've already talked about most of the things, but anyways, I'll share with you. Bulk drug industry, when you are into the manufacturing of raw materials. Formulation industry, when you are into the manufacturing of dosage forms. So both these industries can be started by a pharmacy graduate. Then you can start your own testing lab. Testing lab is quality control lab. So in the testing lab, what you are going to do is you are going to test the formulations prepared by the other industries. Then preclinical lab, herein what is done is clinical lab take an approval from the government of India, and in that what you are going to do is test the medicines prepared by the other industries on small animals. You can test them on rats, mice, guinea pigs, and so on. Then there are very huge number of upcoming clinical data management organizations started by, I've seen most of the very young scientists. So in this, what happens is, say for example, COVID was there, right? And a particular company wants to start manufacturing the various COVID medicines. So they will ask somebody to collect the data and tell them which COVID medicine is the most popular one, which is the most effective one, and so on. So what the clinical data management firms will do is they will collect all the data from the unpaid and paid resources and try to find out which one gives the best kind of effect in whatever terms the company wants to know about it. So they'll collect the data, process it, and sell it to the various industries who want to launch new medicines. Then we have the profession of pharma writing. Pharma writing is done by generally by intellectual people who are obviously from the profession of pharmacy. The medical reps generally would carry small books or certain printed material. Even when you purchase a pack of nasal drops or eye drops, you will see some material is there. A small paper which has been folded maybe 5 times or 10 times, on which something is printed in very very small words, that has been written by somebody who's an expert. It will tell you everything, how to use it, when to use it, what could be the side effects, how to avoid the side effects, which is actually the medicine which is incorporated in that. So all that is done by the pharma writing people. So there are many upcoming pharma writing firms also, especially in northern India now. Then pharmacovigilance, I've already explained. Now this is again something which became more, of course it was there earlier also, but this became more popular, e-pharmacy, during the pandemic when there was a curfew or the movement was hindered. So we started with e-pharmacy, just like you have you order sweets or you order food and it comes to you. So certain people thought that medicines are so important. If Zomato can deliver food in 20 minutes, why can't we deliver the medicines in 20 minutes? So that was the basic idea of starting e-pharmacy. So like online shopping, e-pharmacy was also started, and believe me, it is a very upcoming kind of business in the sense that there are some very good e-pharmacy units like 1mg, which are doing very ethical kind of practice. They will first ask you First, ask the patient for the prescription, then cross-check the prescription and then sell the medicine. And then, of course, we have all seen chemist shops which are retail as well as wholesale. So these can also be started as an entrepreneurial project by any pharma graduate. Then there are a variety of other options like drug control, which is done by the government of any country. So we have drug inspectors which ensure that nothing is sold above price. Younger generation is not getting narcotics, they are not getting medicines which are prone to addiction and so on. Then insurance is another possibility. Medical insurance as well as life insurance. Before giving any kind of insurance, it is first ensured that the patient the person who is getting insured does not carry any disease. So we need a person for insurance who knows about diseases, so that when the tests are interpreted, he or she is able to find out if the patient is going to live long or not. So they can find very good opportunities in insurance sector also. Code has medical coding. So for each drug, for each disease, a code has been given, and this code is universal. So for the doctors who are prescribing across the world, this medical coding becomes very important. And here I would like to share that medical coding is a very good way of earning lots of money also. So there, after the B Farm, you need to have probably 15 days or a month long medical coding training, and then you can get a job wherein you can do coding for maybe some Indian medical profession and so on. Because as far as medical coding is concerned, everything is online. Then just like drug control, we have food control also. So food inspectors are also many a times chosen from the pharma professionals. Then we discussed about research and development, so that is another option. uh, Nutraceuticals, these two things are very upcoming kind of things. Nutraceuticals is something like jams which are enriched, or soya powders which are enriched, or probiotics. So it is basically the food which is functional in the sense that it is going to do benefit to the body. Similarly, we have cosmeceuticals, the cosmetics which look like cosmetics but are actually giving a benefit to your body. It is not just for altering the appearance, but actually improving the body function. Then pharma journalism, you might have already that when we give the news of pharma profession, it is known as pharma journalism. Then IPR stands for intellectual property rights. So this is another option, because in pharma, patents are very important. So if you found out a drug, you have prepared it for the first time, you have the intellectual property right over it and you can sell it at any price. So IPR is another area where the pharmacy graduates will find good jobs. Then hospital pharmacy. Hospital pharmacists are the people who will take care of all the inpatients. Inpatients means the patients who are admitted inside. So they are responsible that the drugs are given to them which are of good quality. They are administered in a timely manner, in a right kind of manner, and when to ask for the things, how to keep your inventory updated. There should always be an emergency quota available in the medical store. So all these things are being taken care by the hospital pharmacist. Another thing which has now become very important is the quality control of the hospital. So in hospital, you see, we cannot afford that any kind of infection should spread, because the patients who are coming there are already compromised. So if there is any tendency or any potential for infection, it is not good for the patients. So we need to ensure that everything is maintained properly. There is no scope of any kind of transfer of infection from one patient to the other. So all that will fall under hospital QC, and that is also again taken care of by the pharmacists. Then this is another $1 million question: from where should you pursue your bachelor's in pharmacy? So, dear friends, I would tell you that whenever you are going to take admission, whenever you are going to start your career in the pharmacy profession, you must ensure that it has the approval by the regulatory bodies. If you are pursuing it in a modern pharmacy, ensure that it is approved by the Pharmacy Council of India. All over India, any institute which is approved by PCI, that institute only can get its students placed in industries or in various regulatory bodies or in various teaching institutes. So must ensure that it is approved by the Pharmacy Council of India. Then if it is an Ayurvedic pharmacy, it should be approved by the board of Ayush. And if there is an animal house, which must be there, which ought to be there as per the instructions of PCI, that animal house should also be approved by the CPCSA, which is again an organization by the government of India, which ensures that the animal testing is being done in a proper manner. Then you should also look for rankings. There is a ranking framework. You can see NIRF, popularly known as NIRF, which is by the Ministry of Education, Government of India. So this is one of the most authentic ranking system. So you should, whenever you are going to take admission, whenever you are going to enter any institute, ensure that it has got a good ranking in the NIRF. Then look at the faculty members, their experience, their qualification. If you see the faculty better the faculty members, the more qualified, the more practically oriented, the better teachers they are, the better is going to be the profile of the students. Then also look at the research profile of the department. So a department, any school, any department, any institute, which has a strong research profile is going to give you the latest information. If the institute faculty members are themselves not updated about the latest information, how do we expect that they are going to instill the same in the students who are going to learn there? Then we should also be worried about the labs, because in our profession, in pharma profession, you see the practical work is the lifeline of our profession. So look at the labs, they should be good, they should be well equipped. And then these two things, children, animal house and herbal garden, these are very, very important for our profession. As I have been sharing with you, preclinical testing is done on animals, and all of the people who are pursuing pharmacy, they should be able to do the testing part in the small animals. And then because we have a whole load of the medicinal wealth coming medicine. Therefore, we should have a herbal garden. So please check whenever you are going to take admission whether these two things are there in the institute. So if there are any queries, you are most welcome. So that's all from my side. Thank you.
Thank you
Over
so
to the
much.
organizers. Yeah.
Thank you so much, ma'am. This was very enlightening and very wonderful presentation. Thank you for presenting why pharma, why now, what now, how, where, why us, and finally, how to get into professional life in pharmacy. Thank you, ma'am. Uh, all of you, please put your query in QA box. We will take up your query at the end of this session. Over to you, Rachna ma'am.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It would be great if I can just get the screen sharing rights.
Ma'am, you are not audible.
I hope ma'am, my screen is visible.
Yes, perfectly.
Okay. Just give me a moment, ma'am. I'm just technical glitch.
So Madam Rachna is going to share her words on fee scholarship infrastructure part of the university. Like she will be
Okay.
going to tell you how you save your money, and over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. So good afternoon, everyone. I hope you all are doing fine and safe at your home. So I'll be just sharing a quick glimpse of the university you will be joining most probably this year or in the coming years. So first up in the list, we have LPU breaking the records when 13 students from LPU participated in Tokyo Olympics 2020. And we feel proud that nearly 10% of the Indian Olympic participants are from LPU. If I talk about Neeraj Chopra or Manpreet Singh, the captain of a hockey team, and several others. Moving ahead with the rankings of the university, uh, just give me a moment, ma'am. I suppose it's while speaking. So first up in the list, we have the utter ranking of institution on innovation achievement. LPU has been ranked 13 by the utter of ranking of institution on innovation and achievement. Next, we have a proud movement of India when LPU was ranked second, where only 3 Indian universities could make in the top 200 list globally as per Times Higher Education Impact Rankings 2021. Next in the list, we have the NIRF ranking, another feather in our rankings by Ministry of Education, Government of India, where LPU was ranked 23rd for pharmacy amongst all government and private pharmacy institutions in India. Next up, we have the World University Rankings, where LPU has been ranked 8th amongst the top universities of India in clinical and health subjects as well. Further, moving ahead with the campus life and exposure of as a student, make sure that you enjoy your campus life and gain as much as exposure you can. And if I talk about LPU students have got several opportunities to interact with Nobel laureates and participate, witness not just national but international level events as well. So I'll be just sharing a quick glimpse of some events. 106th Indian Science Congress with the focal theme of Future India, Science and Technology, which was inaugurated by Honorable Prime Minister of India, Sri Narendra Modi ji at LPU. Next, we have Nobel laureate Dalai Lama ji during the fifth convocation at LPU. Former President of India, late Sri Pranab Mukherjee, for convocation twice at LPU. Next, we have former Union Minister, late Sri Arun Jaitley ji, for inauguration of LPU Startup School of Mittal School of Business. A very familiar face, a motivational speaker and a life coach, Gaur Gopal Das ji. He interacted with the students and gave some guidance regarding their life and other life skills. Some heartthrobs, talk about Shah Rukh Khan, Deepika Padukone for the promotion of Chennai Express. We had Sonam Kapoor as well. We also had MS Dhoni in our campus for an event. Now moving ahead with the infrastructure, I'll be just quickly sharing the glimpse of the infrastructure, the buildings, because you will be spending your next few years and making several memories in these blocks. So this is an inside view of a university hospital where all our programs, if I talk about pharmaceutical, if I talk about medical lab technology or physiotherapy programs take place, we have all the facilities in our university hospital. This is an outside view of our university amphitheater. LPU has around 2 to 3 amphitheaters where several nukkad nataks or theaters take place. An inside view of our Shanti Devi Mittal Indoor Stadium with a capacity of 2,500 audience being the largest in this region. An inside view of our 9-story library. I would like to mention that this library has approximately 20 lakh books and students also have full access to these books in online mode as well. An outside view of our university mall, I would like to mention that this mall covers all the basic necessities be it related to dining areas, dominoes, if you want to go for shopping, clothing, accessories, or anything. About academics, we also want our students to enjoy their campus life, and for the leisure time, we have bowling area, we have other gaming facilities available inside the university mall, the gymnasium, which is available inside the mall only. So now, this is an outside view of our Shanti Devi Mittal Indoor Stadium, which has several sports activities. This is an inside view of our Olympic level swimming pool, which is, I would like to mention, which is an all-weather pool as well. Around 10 to 12 badminton courts are also available for our students inside this indoor stadium. An outside view of our university campus clicked by one of our students, and a mesmerizing night view of our university. So now let's move ahead with another aspect, which is the fees, the scholarship, and the other criteria. Before proceeding, I would just like to confirm, Suman ma'am, if the website is visible.
Yes, ma'am, go on.
Thank you. So what you can do is, students, if you want to inquire for any of the program, just visit our official website, which is lpu.in. And once you visit this website, on the top, you can see an icon of admissions, where you can see we have listed the after 12th program category. We have a separate category for after graduation programs. Those who want to take admission in master's program, we have a separate category for after post-graduation programs, which covers our PhD doctorate programs. And we also have separate categories for our after 10th diploma programs. Besides this, on the left side, you can see an icon of scholarship, where you can go through all the scholarships which are being offered at our university. I'll just share a quick overview of the scholarships and how you can apply for it. So first up, if I talk about in the list, we have scholarship on the basis of your last two qualifications. So let's say if you are taking admission in, let's say 12th. So it can be, sorry, bachelor's. It can be on the basis of your 10th and 12th marks, both. Further, we also have scholarship on the basis of LPU NEST exam, which is National Entrance and Scholarship Test. This test is compulsory for majority of the programs at LPU, but it also acts as a scholarship test. So this test will also help you to upgrade your scholarship. Next in the list, we have on the basis of national level test. If you have applied for NEET or any of the national level test, make sure that you get your mark sheets verified. So next in the list, we have on the basis of sports, culture, R&D, co-curriculars, social services, and bravery awards. If you have any such certificates, achievements, make sure that you share your marks, your documents with us on our email ID, which is admissions@lpu.co.in. So our team can verify it, and we can let you know if you are getting any additional benefits on the basis of such categories. So next we have special scholarship for our toppers of education board. You can students, once a result has been declared, make sure that you share your mark sheets with us so that we can verify the same. Next we have financial aid for need-based, which covers scholarships for a single mother, a single girl child, and etc. For our defense or retired defense, CAPF, military personnel and their dependents, financial aid to orphans, and financial aid to persons with certain ability. So you can also share such things with your friends and near ones so that they can apply for such. And further, you can get all the detailed information here as well. Moving ahead, how you can inquire about any particular program. So let's say if I am interested in a bachelor's program, I'll just click on after 12th programs, and all the programs which are being offered at LPU will be listed right in front of you. So let's say I'm interested in Bachelor's of Pharmaceutical Sciences. I'll just show you. Yeah, here we have all the programs listed in front of us. So here I can see we have Pharmaceutical Sciences and B Pharma, which is a 4 years program with total 8 semesters. You can see all the basic details if I talk about the eligibility criteria. Then we have the key highlights, the curriculum details for next 4 years, and the fee structure. As you can see, although the without scholarship fees goes 1,20,000, but we again have scholarships on the basis of your 10th, 12th, LPU NEST exam or national level test or any other categories. And accordingly, your scholarship can be reduced to 20%, 30%, or 40% as well, directly reducing your fees to 72,000 per semester. Further, I would just like to show you some important dates. Here you can see the schedule of LP NEST exam for those students, those who haven't applied LP NEST exam yet. The registrations are open and the last date to apply for this test is 10th of May. So make sure that you apply for this test first, and then you will get some exam dates between 15th to 31st May, and your result will be declared on 6th June 2020. And once your result has been declared, make sure that you proceed for your online counseling and seat allocation, where you have to fill your preference in this particular field. So you can see all the rounds and the dates have been listed as well. So I'll just wind up with one last point. We keep conducting such webinars. We have also conducted earlier as well, and you can register for our upcoming webinars again. On the top, as you can see, again, the icon of admissions. On the left side, click on LPU's Edu-Fair webinars. So you can go through all the past webinars, and as well you can register for the upcoming webinars. I'll just show you the portal once. Yeah, so here we have our upcoming webinars. Next up, we have on 19th April, entertainment, gaming, and much more. Then we have limitless opportunities after COVID. So you just have to click on register, fill your basic details, your name, email ID, your phone number, so that we can share all the details regarding and the important link to attend this webinar on your registered email ID and your phone number. So I'll just show you the portal. Yeah, here we have it. Your name, your last name, your email ID, phone number, and make sure that you click on this dialog box and click on register once you are done. And for any other queries, feel free to contact us. All the contact details have been mentioned on the right side of the screen. We have a live video counseling option through which you can get in touch with us, with our counselors. We have a schedule a call option. We have our WhatsApp team as well. And you can also directly get in touch with our helpline numbers, which are listed right here on the last. So over to you, Suman ma'am. I have shared all the details with the students.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It's really very informative. So on the quick note, we are taking 2-3 queries. I request to Madam Dr. Monica Gulati, please be on screen. That first question from Rahul Sai. How can we pitch our Indian products in overseas marketing?
Sorry, please say it again.
How can we pitch our Indian products in overseas market?
So Rahul, wonderful question. The answer to this partially I've already shared with you. You know, whenever we are going to sell any product, not just sell, even if we are going to import from some other country, there are certain regulations given by a particular country for which you have to submit a dossier that these tests have been done, and this is the information, these are the results from the studies conducted on all those tests. So this entire work is covered by the part of the profession which is, as I shared with you, regulatory affairs. So the scientists who are trained in regulatory affairs would know about what are the requirements for a particular government. It would be different for Japan, it would be different for US, it would be different for say UK. And if he doesn't know, he or she knows, from where to get that information. The entire information which is available with the industry in the form which is required by that particular country. And then, once your dossier is ready and the product is up to the mark, it meets the quality, then it can be pitched into any of the countries in the world. I hope I have answered your question.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Manisha wants to know, is there a scope of B-pharmacy outside the hospital industry?
Yes, in fact, there is almost, I would say, 70 to 80% of the scope is outside the hospitals only, because industry where, production is there, or QC, if you remember, the first thing I told you was about the industry. So almost 95% of the industry lies outside the hospital. It is only the hospital pharmacists who are going to be inside the hospitals, or the hospital quality control people who are going to be inside. And of course, once in a while. The rest of the industry is outside. Similarly, if we talk of entrepreneurship also, almost 70% to 80% of the workforce is outside the hospitals. Anything else?
The last question, ma'am, is Reyes wants to know, is biotechnological engineers coming under pharma professional? What is the contribution of biotechnologician engineers in the pharmacy industry?
See, if I talk of biotechnology in pharma industry, there are very strong connections, but somewhere, there is a non-overlap also. If we talk of very specialized medicines like, those which are meant for genetic control, or which are even vaccines to some extent, these medicines require the use of a biotechnologist. Apart from these specialized kind of medicines, the pharma industry would be exclusively more oriented towards the production of drugs. So there is a slight overlap of the area. Maybe if you ask me to measure it, it would be something around 10%. So rest of the things are non-overlapping. Of course, there is a very rich contribution of the biotechnologists, especially in the niche areas like vaccine delivery or genetic drugs, or the drugs which are specifically tailored for the particular patients. So that's it.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you for your time and for your wonderful presentation. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Rachna.
Thank you. I would like to thank all the organizers. Thank you.
So during this exclusive webinar on 12 new drug and therapies studying pharmaceutical sciences, attendees heard from Dr. Monica Gulati as on how you can have a successful career in this field. Experts, your years of research, your depth of understanding the topic, and your ability to present the topic in such an interesting way produce one of the most wonderful afternoon for all the attendees. On behalf of all the attendees of this webinar, I want to thank you for your insightful presentations. Hopefully, the attendees found this webinar to be valuable and will be able to utilize and to be valuable, as the information provided in this webinar will help them to take better decisions regarding admission. I am obliged and once again thankful to Dr. Monica Gulati and Ms. Rachna Bajaj for strengthening this platform. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.